Hello everybody, Aaron Anderson here from SAT-P and Madras College in St Andrews. Today I'm going to share with you a series of lessons that you could use to teach key planning information when planning and implementing a PDP. If you're a pupil using this, I would recommend that you go through some of the slides at a time and you take your time, have a little break before revisiting the next slide. The key thing here is all about ensuring we get depth of knowledge that's going to help you be successful in the higher course. So in today's lesson, what we will focus on is your ability to plan and create an effective personal development plan, otherwise known as a PDP. By the end of this lesson, there are 4 main success criteria you should be aiming to achieve. They all revolve around your ability to describe and explain. Firstly, how did the data that you've collected at the start of the cycle of analysis help you move forward in your planning? 2, how do you use this data to then set SMART goals which will aid your motivation and your ability to plan a specific and relevant development plan? Thirdly, how can you follow the principles of training to develop one physical factor which comes under the fitness column to help design an effective and relevant PDP? And finally, how can you select relevant approaches that are specific to your identified weaknesses to help develop your overall performance? Before looking at achieving our success criteria, it is absolutely vital that we understand how to answer different questions in higher PE. To do this, we must have a thorough and clear knowledge of the 5 command words that are inherent to the PE course. These are identify, describe, explain, analyse and evaluate. We can consider these command words on a continuum from simple to most complex. So what we can do is we can use the Nando's periometer to help us here. At one end, where we have lemon and herb, the most mildest sauce is identify, which requires a simple stated word or phrase to answer a question. At the other end of the continuum, however, we have the extra hot sauce, which requires much more complex higher order thinking skills as we evaluate, where we give a judgment and then evidence and an effect. However, we will focus on 2 command words that lie somewhere in the middle of this continuum. These are describe and explain. So let's look at them in more detail, starting with describe. When describing any aspect of the course, try to think of the following. You want to firstly paint the picture of how something looks or is set up, and then you want to hit play and play the video and go through stage by stage how something occurs in chronological order. To do this, consider that you've got a programme on Sky Plus. Pretend that you've paused the programme, look and see what's on the screen. Describe it in detail by painting the picture. Following this, hit the play button and then talk through how things occur in a chronological order from A to Z. To help us be successful here, you may consider describing the following: the who, the what, the where, the when, and the how. However, you must never ever talk about the why, because this is you starting to justify and use a more complex higher order thinking skill. Keep it simple, keep it short and sharp, and aim for 1 mark for every sentence you write. To help consolidate our knowledge of describe, please try this simple task. All you need to do is read the 2 answers below from pupil A and pupil B, where they've been asked to describe what data collection is. Can you spot the differences in their answer and then tell me what makes the best describe answer? If you're very, very good, pardon the pun here, can you justify why you've selected this answer? Please now pause the video and try this task. So in this instance, pupil A has the better answer. Let's look at why this is. Pupil A gives us short and sharp sentences that get straight to the point. Whilst people B, they are linking longer sentences together through using joining up terms such as because. The issue here is that as soon as you use because, you're beginning to give a why and starting to justify. That is too complex for describe. However, pupil A has talked about the how. For example, in sentence 1 they talk about using a variety of different methods. Pupil A also does well because they then start to describe how something occurs in chronological order. We can see in sentence 2 they talk about once this is done, we do X, Y and Z. Whereas pupil B is trying to show cause and effect, which is showing us the beginning of an explain answer by saying if I do X, then Y occurs. So in this instance, pupil A has got the better descriptive answer. Let's now move on to explain and see how pupil B would have fared there. So as previously alluded to in the previous slide, pupil B was beginning to explain. And this was because they were showing cause and effect. What they were doing was saying that they do this because of this, and then as a result of that, this leads to X, Y or Z happening. One way you can do this to structure your knowledge is by following the PEE chain. This involves you writing in sentence 1 a point, which is really the cause. So that is you saying, I decided to do something because of this. Following this in sentence 2, you give the evidence, which is the effect it then has. So as a result of doing this in sentence 1, it leads to this happening in sentence 2. And to finalise your answer, try to give an example, and this will just show the marker that you have thorough knowledge of what you're trying to show. So in total, we are aiming for 3 sentences a mark. So as you can see, in comparison to describe, it is 2 extra sentences. Try to link your sentences together by starting sentence 2 with this means or this leads to. This is you showing your ability to show cause and effect, and you're starting to fit the lock and key together in order to unlock marks. Our second task is going to ask you to create the PEE chain. In the table on the right hand side, there are 3 different points, 3 different pieces of evidence and 3 different examples. Your job is to navigate through this information and create the most appropriate PEE chain. The reason we do this is because you need to consider explain in regards to a lock and key. If the key does not fit the lock, i.e. the evidence does not fit the point, or the effect does not fit the cause, you will not get marks. The key must fit the lock in order to obtain marks. Pause the video now and try to link the point, evidence and example together to produce 3 model explain answers. Let's now look at the 3 PEE chains. Let's look at 1C2. So if, for example, you have said the following, one reason may be because they got injured. This is you given a point. You're shown why something happened. This means they could not train for several sessions and their progress stopped and levelled off. That is you now given the effect with the evidence. Notice how sentence 2 starts with this means to join the 2 sentences together. And finally in sentence 3, the example to exemplify their answer. For example, they twisted their ankle in interval training and had to miss 3 sessions to recover. That there would be a model explanation answer because they have given point, i.e. the cause. They have given the evidence, i.e. the effect that they had. And then they have solidified their answer with an example. If you look at the second answer, 2A3 would be the chain that we formed together. One reason may be because their short-term goals were no longer challenging. Again, a clear point that shows why something happened. This means they lost motivation and stopped giving the role, which resulted in their progress halting. A clear effect is given in this evidence joined together by this means. And then finally, for example, they never increased their goal from sessions 3 to 5 and they got bored. Again, knowledge is shown and demonstrated through the example. And then finally, the final PEE chain is 3B1. One reason may be because they never overloaded the duration of their sessions. This means their heart and lungs were not being pushed to new levels and their progress stopped. For example, they did continuous training for 20 minutes 3 times in a row and they found it too easy. Again, clear point with the why, clear evidence that matches and complements the point to show the effect, and then a clear example to solidify their answer. Now that we have done describe and explain, let's start applying that to the knowledge required to achieve the success criteria in today's lesson. Revisiting our success criteria again, let's consider what key planning information actually is. In order to plan an effective PDP, we need to make sure we use our data collection results from the first stage of the cycle of analysis. We then must use these results to help us set SMART goals. We then must follow the principles of training for physical fitness, or if you are planning a PDP for a physical skill, the principles of effective practice. Both of these help us design an effective PDP. And finally, we must select and utilise a range of relevant and specific approaches to our weaknesses. To help provide some context that will help us through the key planning information, we are going to use a model performer. In our case, we are going to use a professional football player called Jadon Sancho. Sancho is a 20-year-old winger who plays for Borussia Dortmund and England. Watch the video below to see how he performs.
Jadon Sancho is a special player. His skill, style of play and speed make him near enough unstoppable. Let's have a look at the best of Jadon Sancho at Borussia Dortmund. Sancho is a real goal machine. During the 2018-19 season, Sancho saw off Bayer Leverkusen almost single-handedly. The Englishman set up the opening goal for Zagadou before then scoring himself, and it wasn't just any goal.
Oh, but Sancho! How about that from Jadon Sancho?
Sancho helped his side to a 3-2 win and an important 3 points to keep nearest challengers Bayern at bay. At home to Leverkusen again, but one season earlier. On match day 31, there was no stopping Sancho, the 19-year-old who was directly involved in 3 of the goals in a 4-0 triumph. After netting the opener himself, he turned provider, and did so in typical Sancho style.
Jadon, I've lost for words! Dortmund absolutely superb! What a build-up and what a takedown by Jadon Sancho!
Sancho then also set up the 4th goal. It's no wonder he's regarded as one of the best providers in the Bundesliga and even Europe. To be this gifted with attacking ability, you need to be blessed with fine feet. Sancho always knows how to surprise his opponents or leave them red-faced, and he makes it look easy, like here against Freiburg on matchday 13 of the 2018-19 campaign.
Wonderful, absolutely spellbinding from Jadon Sancho.
The S in Sancho stands for one thing: speed.
No chance to catch Sancho when he's in full speed.
Sancho is one of the most gifted dribblers of the ball in the Bundesliga. He always wants to take on his man at high speed. Time and time again he uses his pace smartly. His top speed in the Bundesliga stands at 34.6 kilometers per hour. The young sensation showed what a special talent he is against Union Berlin on match day 20 this season.
Now Sancho gets the shot away, deflection, goal! Jadon Sancho becomes the first under-19 to score 25 Bundesliga goals.
Jadon Sancho, the wonder kid from England, not just any old player, but one of the greatest prospects in the Bundesliga. What impresses you the most about Jadon Sancho? Let us know in the comments.
Hello? Yes, you.
Let's now work our way through the key player information, starting with the data collection results. Jadon Sancho, in this case, has went away and completed a method called the Performance Profiling Wheel, otherwise known as a PPW. He has looked at 4 physical factors of his choice, which can be seen on the FIFA 19 card. He has scored himself at 10 out of 10, which is very high for agility, 2 out of 10, which is poor for CRE, 8 out of 10 for his power, and 9 out of 10 for his speed. What you need to do now is pause the video, look at these results, go through them, and describe how his physical strengths and development needs look in his performance. A key tip here, link it back to performance. What would you see, remember it is described, what would you see if somebody had 8 out of 10 for power? What would this look like in Jadon Sancho's case in football? Let's do that task now. So this would have been a similar type of task to what you'd done at National 5 for question 2E, where you had to describe your own strengths and development needs. Now, this is very, very important for us when planning performance because we know exactly where and how something is a strength and a weakness in performance. So for Jadon Sancho, for example, he has said that his agility was a strength. This may look like him dribbling past opposition defenders with ease by faking to go one way and quickly changing direction to go another. That there is a simple description that paints the picture and plays the video of how his high levels of agility aids him as a winger. However, a development need, as we have identified, was Sancho's CRE, where he scored himself a low 2 of 10. Sancho does not have the energy to track back with opposition fullbacks in the final 10 minutes of games. Again, it is a very clear descriptive point that shows how a lack of CRE could hinder Sancho in his own role and responsibility. So taking all this into account, we need to focus our PDP on developing Sancho's CRE. Having analysed the results, we are now using them to plan forward. So we are taking that weakness of CRE and we are going to now start planning around it. The first step is to set a long and a short-term goal. A long-term goal is what we usually set for the end of a performance development plan, whilst the short-term goals can be seen as little stepping stones that we'll look to achieve in each session on the pathway to achieving the long-term goal. What I'd like you to do now is watch the video on goal setting and then identify, simply naming, each letter in SMART. So as we've seen in the video, SMART stands for the following: specific, measurable, adjustable, realistic and time-bound. In the PPW, Sancho, as we've seen, has scored himself a low 2 of 10 for CRE. Having done this, he has used this data collection result to set the following long-term goal. That is that he would like to achieve 10 out of 10 for his CRE levels in the PPW at the end of his physical PDP. What I'd like you to do now is, once I've finished speaking, pause the video and then explain a limitation of this long-term goal. It is worth 1 mark, so all I am looking for is one chain of P, the point, given the cause, E, the evidence showing the effect that that cause would then have, and then an example of what might then happen in the personal development plan. Do that now. Well done on completing that task. Let's now compare your answer with a model answer on the PowerPoint. Compare each of the 3 sentences you have with the P-E-E chain here. So the point, we are now answering the question. This was limited because 10 out of 10 is an unrealistic goal to strive for when the original score was 2 out of 10. So we have given the cause, we have answered the question. A limitation is that it's far too high. 10 out of 10 is unrealistic for somebody who's originally 2 out of 10. The step is too big. So what is the evidence? What is the effect of this? Well, this means, with it being too unrealistic and too high, the performer is likely to lose confidence and give up during their PDP when they see they're not making progress towards their goal. A little tip when given the evidence: continuously ask yourself so what to achieve depth of learning. Remember what we said at the start, we want to achieve depth in order to pick up marks. You are now using more advanced higher order thinking skills than in Describe. So let's break that down. 10 out of 10 is unrealistic. Okay, so if somebody is reaching for an unrealistic goal, they're unlikely to reach it. It's too high. So what? They lose confidence. So what? You then give up. If you're not confident and you're not reaching your goal, you'll give up. So what? Well, if you give up, it means you're not going to make progress towards your goal and your performance is not going to improve. By continuously asking yourself, so what, it allows you to take each answer a step further. And then we consolidate our answer with an example. When conducting a midway retest, they may find that they are well off track and they will become disillusioned with insufficient progress. Again, the example just consolidates the answer and shows the examiner you fully understand what the question is asking of you. Well done if you managed to do that. So having worked through the first 2 parts of key planning information, i.e. we've identified our weakness, we've then used that data around the weakness to set a realistic target, we now need to start thinking of how we provide a framework for planning our programme. Now, because we are following a physical fitness factor, CRE, we follow the principles of training. As previously alluded to, however, if your weakness was a physical skill, you would follow the principles of effective practice. But enough of that, that's not what we are focusing on. We are principles of training. The principles of training are 5 following terms that follow the acronym SPORT. Your programme must be specific. It must be progressive and show overload. You must try your hardest to avoid reversibility and also avoid tedium to stop you becoming bored in order to boost motivation. Let's now go through each of these principles in more detail to help you plan an effective PDP. Starting with specificity, let's consider how we make a PDP specific to a range of different things. The first thing, is that it needs to relate to your development need. In this case, Sancho's weakness is CRE. So we must make sure that we are selecting approaches that are relevant to his weakness. We need to also consider his sport of football. Football is a stop-start sport that involves you running at multiple different paces over a 90-minute period. So again, the approaches we select must simulate the different paces whilst developing CRE in football. We also need to make it specific to his role as of a winger. A winger typically sprints 10 yards repeatedly throughout a game. Over a 90-minute period, this has a huge drain on their CRE levels. And finally, Sancho's responsibilities as a winger is to always try and get goals and assists. Goals and assists. If you watch his video, you'll see that it's all about achieving these two responsibilities in order for him to be an effective player. So, once you've watched the video, pause this PowerPoint, and I'd like you to just note down, with Sancho only scoring 2 out of 10 for CRE in the PPW, why would setting his first session, so remember that score is extremely low, 2 out of 10, why would it be a problem setting his first CRE session at 1 hour? Note down some answers for that. Perhaps do a PowerPoint.
Jadon Sancho. Quick, full of tricks, and now indispensable to Borussia Dortmund. We take a look at his top 5 Bundesliga assists so far.
It's Sancho and Hakimi, who's lightning quick, making the run off the ball. Still Sancho and Götze. 3-0. Mario Götze joins in. And now it might very well be a question of how many for Borussia Dortmund.
The pace of Jadon Sancho gets away here. Sancho on. Marco Reus to wrap it up. He's done exactly that. The captain back in his cathedral. Marco Reus makes it 4-1.
Here's Jadon Sancho. Brilliant skill by Sancho. Lovely cross too. And it's Wolf! Smashed in! Dortmund's lead is restored, and it just had to be.
Here they come again with Sancho on the ball now for Dortmund. Inside Marco Reus. The captain here leads the way for Dortmund. Reus on for Jadon Sancho. Marco Reus!
And look at the role that Jadon Sancho plays in that game.
That's a sweet ball, and what a takedown from Jadon. Oh, I've lost for words. Dortmund absolutely superb. What a build-up and what a takedown by Jadon Sancho. Pure class. Another assist for the young Englishman.
Which assist was your favourite? And which player would you like to see next? Let us know in the comments.
Before we go into more information in this slide, linking back to what the task was before, 1 hour is far too long for somebody who's got such a low opinion of their own CRE. By training for far too long, 1, the short-term goal of achieving your aim in that session is unrealistic, which could result in a motivation and confidence loss, which then results in giving up. Notice how I've went through so what there. And also, by training for too long, it could actually result in injury. That is something we need to avoid at all costs, particularly with a physical fitness factor like CRE, which is going to involve high volumes of training. It is vitally important that we set our sessions at the correct time, i.e. we make it specific to his level of CRE. So, moving on, read the overview of continuous and interval training below, and then complete the task that follows. There are 2 questions. The first one is asking you to explain, the second one is asking you to describe. For those who want to be very, very good and wish to achieve an A in higher PE, can you take your knowledge a little bit further? And for question B, describe a second way that your approach can be made more specific to Sancho's development. To help you here, look back at the previous slide and consider his role, his responsibilities, and also the sport of football. Pause the slide now, read the task, and have a go at it. So let's look at some of the answers to task 6. Question A was asking to explain what approach Sancho would be best selecting for his own development of CRE and how we can make it specific. So, Jadon Sancho would be better including interval training as PDP because it is specific to football with its changes of pace. This is an excellent point to make, and it answers the question of why one approach is more effective than another. In this case, interval training is specific to the sport of football with its variety of different paces. The evidence given in point 2 is also very clear and shows a great and clear effect. This means Sancho will develop the ability to stop-start repeatedly, which is vital for his role as a winger as he can accelerate and decelerate multiple times. Again, the effect shows the lock fit in the key, because by doing interval training and changing the pace, it ties into his role as a winger, where he needs to accelerate and decelerate multiple times. And then we solidify the answer with an example. Repeatedly sprinting for 20 seconds and slow jogging for 40 seconds will help Sancho as he tries to accelerate away from fullbacks in the final moments of games. The final moments part is crucial because it shows how the role and responsibilities ties into his CRE, i.e. the time of the game when the CRE levels may begin to decline. Let's now look at B, where you were asked to describe how we can make each of his interval sessions more specific. Sentence 1. Sancho's interval sessions can be made even more specific to his role as a winger by adding in a cross or shot at the end of each sprint. This is specific to his role as a winger then, because his role asks of him to provide assists and goals. Assists coming in the form of crosses, goals coming in the form of shots. And then for those of you who wish to strive for an A, another way we can make his sessions more specific. In addition to this, Sancho's sprint section could be made more specific to his role as a winger by sprinting for 10 yards as opposed to a timed theme. This is crucial because again the specificity is there. As we've seen, a winger typically sprints 10 yards at a time, so we are changing the interval session to look at sprinting over 10 yards, which is relevant to his role as a winger, as opposed for a number of seconds. If you've managed to put all of this, great work and well done. The next two principles we will focus on are progression and overload. These can often be combined to make progressive overload. What I'd like you to do is watch the video and take notes on the following. 1. Can you give a definition for what progressive overload actually means? 2. Can you identify the 3 ways in which CRE specific training can be progressively overloaded? Note with this, you need to use your problem solving skills to identify the most suitable ways out of the 6 provided that you think best targets CRE development. And finally, true or false, should you progressively overload every single session that you do? Have a go at it and let us know how you get on.
This video is going to be all about progressive overload and how you can apply it to your own training. So the dictionary definition of progressive overload is the gradual increase of stress placed upon the body during exercise training. It's not just a technique that's used over just one workout, or even a couple for that matter. It's the gradual increase in load over the course of months, many workouts. To explain progressive overload, think of it as a process of increasing the load in your workouts and allowing your body to adapt to the added stimulus. Your body adapts to the new stimulus that you give it over time as you continue to gradually add more load. Now on the graph, the arrows represent each workout and the line represents your ability to perform. As you can see, your body adapts to the increased stimulus you place on it by an overall increase in your fitness level. Now there's loads of ways to progressively overload. Firstly, you can increase the weight using an exercise, you can increase the number of sets or reps you do, you can increase the frequency of your workouts, you can also increase the number of exercises you do, you can increase the intensity of your workouts, or you can decrease the rest time. But it all depends on you and your goals. If you're a powerlifter, you might want to use increasing weight as your main progressive overload method, but if you're an endurance athlete, you might want to decrease the rest periods between your sets. For example, if you use 50 kilograms on an exercise for 3 sets of 8 reps over and over every workout, your body has no reason to adapt, so it's not going to grow. If you start upping the stimulus and do 9 reps instead, your body has a reason to grow. It's going to adapt to the new stimulus. Unfortunately, you're not going to be able to keep going up and up and up every single workout. It doesn't work like that. It takes time for your body to adapt and change, so you may find yourself not being able to increase the stimulus every single workout. But ultimately, progressive overload is what is going to push you further towards your goals, and so should be a staple in everybody's training to make sure you don't stagnate.
Let's look at some of the answers to the task on the previous slide. Question 1. Progressive overload means the gradual increase of stress placed upon the body during exercise training. In plain speak, this means that gradually we will make each session tougher as we move through our programme. We can do this a number of different ways, and that relates to question 2. We can increase the frequency by moving from, say, 2 sessions a week to 3 sessions a week. We can increase the intensity by making us work at a higher or harder training zone by moving at quicker intensities and paces. Or thirdly, we can increase the time of sessions by going from, say, 20 minutes to 23 minutes. Each of those are examples of us gradually overloading a session. And then finally, it's very important that we understand that it's false to overload every single session. The reason for this is because we need to let the body adapt to any changes that has been put in through overloaded sessions before we go and overload again. So how does all this affect our planning, which is all about the success criteria we're looking at? When we initially plan the PDP, remember it must be specific to Sancho's CRE levels. Remember, he is currently starting, his baseline measurement is 2 out of 10. So the frequency can't be too high. So we may look to start at 2 sessions a week. However, based upon monitoring, i.e. tracking his progress in each session, we might look to increase that frequency at some point to, say, 3 sessions a week. In regards to intensity, again, we need to make it specific to CRE levels. So we'll start at a lower heart rate and a lower pace. And again, through monitoring, we might look to gradually increase the speed that he moves at, so he's working in heavier and higher training zones. And then finally, the time, again, will be specific to that 2 out of 10 of CRE by starting at a lighter time and gradually and incrementally increasing the length of sessions. So it's very important that we take all of this into account, and if you're very, very good, you can see how specificity and progressive overload bounce off one another. Take that into consideration when planning any PDP. Also, when planning and creating this PDP, it's vitally important that you understand about reversibility. Reversibility happens if we miss a prolonged period of time of training due to injury and or illness. What initially happens is that as we stop training, we gradually move to what is called a plateau. If you consider a line graph that you might see in chemistry, we see the curve go up to start with on a diagonal fashion, and then it starts to level off. This level off is called a plateau. the longer that we miss the training, the longer that we are out injured, that plateau begins to decline and it reverses the gains that we originally made. It actually looks like a small letter N. When planning a PDP, we can change this reversibility of part of sport to rest for reversibility. What do we mean by that? By incorporating rest days when planning a PDP, i.e. not training 2 days in a row, it helps us avoid reversibility because that rest day allows our muscles to recover and therefore we can attack each new session with more purpose and more energy. So just be mindful of adding rest days in when creating your PDP. Let's do a little task now to consolidate the newfound knowledge around rest to avoid reversibility. For example, in week 1, Jadon Sancho has approached you as his trainer if he could train Monday, Thursday and Sunday. What I'd like you to do now is once I've finished reading out the question, pause this PowerPoint and answer the following. Can you explain, so remember P, point, E, evidence, E, example, why Jadon Sancho has made this request when planning his PDP for him? Is it with 1 mark? So all we require is 1 PEE chain. Let's now compare your answer to a model answer. Let's look at the point first. Remember, this is an explain answer, so let's look at the point to see the cause, i.e. the reason why Sancho's made this request. Jadon Sancho requested to have 2 rest days between each session to allow his body to recover fully. So that is us answering the question. You are showing why he has requested for 2 rest days in between sessions. And the reason for this, he has said, is to allow his body to recover fully. So what is the effect of this? Let's look at the evidence. In sentence 2, this means he'll be feeling fresh in his next session, which will enable him to give his all and improve. Again, think back to a previous slide when you were told about using so what in order to achieve that depth that allows you to reach your success criteria. So not only does recovery in between sessions allow him to feel fresh, but the so what of that is that then allows him to give his all, and the so what of giving your all is that he could then improve his CRE levels. And we finish it off in sentence 3 with another example to exemplify the point. For example, by waiting till Thursday, Sancho's body will have recovered from Monday's session, which minimises his risk of injury. Through doing all of this, remember the key point is how do we avoid reversibility? So take this into consideration when planning out an effective personal development plan. Make sure you add in rest days to allow the body to recover. The final principle that you must consider when planning out a personal development plan is the T, tedium. Tedium simply means that things become boring. What might cause that boredom? Well, if we continue to do the same approach over and over again, that could become boring, and it leads to multiple different effects. For example, if you're bored, you may lose motivation. If you're bored, you may lose concentration during a session. And finally, by being bored, you might lack that mental toughness to persevere and push through in tough moments during an interval or fartlek training session. Each of these effects leads to a decrease in progress because you're not giving your all, or you're not paying attention, or you're giving up. And we need to make sure that we avoid that at absolutely all costs. So task 9, I'm going to allow you to use a bit of guided discovery. I'm going to give you the point as part of the PEE chain. You simply need to go away and explain the rest of the answer by giving me the effect and an example. So the point that you're going to build off is we need to ensure that Sancho's PDP has a variety of different approaches. So what we're doing there is saying how we avoid tedium setting in. This is what we're going to do. Can you now show me the effect of having different approaches, and they give an example to exemplify the original point. Pause the slide now and have a go at it. Well done on completing that task. Let's now consider the rest of the PEE chain. So as we said, the point was originally given where we're saying that we need to ensure that Jadon Sancho's personal development plan has a number of different approaches. So what is the effect? What evidence would this then show that would help him? Well, this means his interest will stay high, which will keep him motivated to attend training and achieve his goals. So again, we're using that term, so what? If we use a variety of different approaches, what does that mean? Well, if we use a variety of different approaches, interest stays high. If your interest stays high, what then happens? Well, you stay motivated. And if you stay motivated, you're more likely to achieve your goals through hard work. An example of this, by mixing up his sessions, Sancho will not become bored and will look forward to doing something different each time he comes to training. So again, consider how we explain why we try to avoid tedium in our sessions when planning a PDP. So the ultimate task now. Having went through the key planning information for Jadon Sancho, i.e. his data collection result of 2 out of 10, being very low for CRE, setting that long-term goal that is realistic to his original data collection score, and also by going through each of the principles of training that allows us to select approaches and create a PDP that is specific to his needs in terms of his ability levels of CRE, his sport, his position and his responsibilities of being a winger. Can you now put all of this newfound knowledge together and create a 6-week development plan for Jadon Sancho? On the next slide, I would like you to pause it and you may feel free to use the guidelines and the template provided. Good luck with this and let's see what we come up with. You've now reached the end of this lesson, so let's revisit the success criteria that we originally spoken about right at the start of the lesson. You should now be able to, number 1, refer to your data collection results when creating a PDP. So how did you use that score of 2 out of 10 for Jadon Sancho to help make your PDP specific to him? Secondly, you should now be able to talk about how you use that data collection result of 2 out of 10 to help him set a realistic target for both the long term and also for the short term for every session. Thirdly, you should be able to refer to the principles of training when you create a PDP. So, can you talk through and describe and explain how you might use specificity, progressive overload, rest to avoid reversibility, and avoiding tedium in order to make an effective and stimulating PDP. And then finally, you should now be able to select relevant approaches for a PDP based on the requirements of the individual, the sport, and also their roles and responsibilities. Well done on completing this session. Feedback is always welcomed. Good luck moving into higher PE.